By the late 1890s, the war was over. Nikola Tesla had won. The bitter public battle against Thomas Edison, known as the War of Currents, had finally ended in victory for Tesla's alternating current, or AC system. Across America, a new age was dawning. AC power surged through the veins of the nation, bringing light to the darkest corners of cities and powering the engines of industry. Factories that had once been slaves to the steam engine now hummed with a clean, electric life. For the very first time in human history, electricity wasn't a laboratory curiosity. It was a utility, as common as water. The world was lit, and it was all thanks to him. But for a mind like Tesla's, victory was never the final destination. It was merely a starting point. Conquering the world of wired electricity was just the first step. He envisioned something far grander, a future that even his contemporaries, who were just getting used to the electric light bulb, couldn't possibly comprehend. He dreamt of a world unbound, a planet connected not by a web of copper wires, but by the very air we breathe. He imagined a global system where energy, information, telegraph messages, and even pictures could be transmitted wirelessly, instantaneously, to any point on the globe. Imagine receiving power from the Earth itself, no matter where you were. It was a concept so revolutionary, so far beyond the known science of the day, that most people dismissed it as pure fantasy. They called it madness. Tesla, however, called it destiny. His vision began to take a physical form in his mind. He didn't just see the outcome. He saw the machine that would make it possible. He imagined a colossal tower, a magnificent structure that would act as a global transmitter, tapping into the Earth's own resonant frequency to send a limitless supply of energy across continents and oceans. There would be no need for sprawling power plants or a jungle of transmission lines. The planet itself would become the conductor. This wasn't just an upgrade to the existing system. It was a complete paradigm shift, a promise of a new world order powered by free, accessible energy for all. To bring this audacious dream to life, however, Tesla needed more than just genius. He needed power of a different kind, financial power. And for that, he turned to the most powerful man in America, the titan of finance, J.P. Morgan. Morgan was a pragmatist, a man who dealt in numbers, assets, and influence. He wasn't a visionary in the same way Tesla was, but he possessed an uncanny ability to see the future of profit. When Tesla presented his idea, Morgan wasn't captivated by the dream of free energy. Instead, his eyes lit up at the prospect of wireless communication. The ability to send stock market data, private messages, and news across the Atlantic in an instant, without relying on expensive and vulnerable undersea cables, was a gold mine. Controlling global information meant controlling global markets. It was a proposition that promised to make the wealthiest man in America even wealthier and more powerful. So in 1901, a deal was struck. Morgan agreed to finance Tesla's new laboratory and the construction of the world's first global wireless tower. The dream had found its patron. With Morgan's backing, Tesla immediately set to work. He chose a plot of land in Shoreham, New York, a quiet, remote area on Long Island's North Shore. It was named Wardenclyffe. The location was perfect open land, facing the Atlantic Ocean, providing a clear path for the wireless signals he planned to send across the sea. Construction began at a furious pace. A colossal wooden framework began to rise from the earth, reaching skyward. Day by day, it grew, until it stood at a towering 57 meters, or 187 feet, tall. At its peak sat a massive 55-ton hemispherical dome made of polished copper. To the local residents and the few who passed by, it was an alien structure, something that seemed to have been dropped from a science fiction story. It looked, as many bystanders remarked, like something from the future. And inside the sprawling brick laboratory at the base of the tower, the future was being forged. Tesla worked with a fervor that bordered on obsession, often going for days with little to no sleep. The lab was his kingdom, filled with equipment of his own design. He conducted breathtaking experiments with massive lightning generators that crackled with man-made electrical storms and resonant transformer coils that would later bear his name. The power he was harnessing was immense, and its effects were felt for miles around. At times, the very ground would shake from the electrical discharges. Other times, the air on the tower would glow with an eerie blue corona, a phenomenon known as St. Elmo's fire. Locals reported hearing strange low-frequency humming sounds emanating from the site, even from miles away. The air itself seemed alive, charged with the energy of Tesla's relentless work. Wardenclyffe was more than a laboratory. It was a living, breathing testament to his ambition. But just as Tesla's tower neared completion, just as his lifelong dream was on the cusp of becoming reality, the world shifted beneath his feet. Another inventor, Guglielmo Marconi, backed by Morgan's own financial rivals and the powerful Andrew Carnegie, achieved a breakthrough. Using comparatively simple and crude equipment, Marconi successfully transmitted the first wireless telegraph signal, the letter SIS in Morse code, across the Atlantic Ocean. He had beaten Tesla to the punch, snatching the very victory that Wardenclyffe was built to achieve. The news hit the financial world like a thunderclap. J.P. Morgan was not just disappointed. He was furious. He had invested in a race, and his horse had just come in second. He summoned Tesla for a meeting. The pleasantries were gone. The shared excitement for the future had evaporated, replaced by the cold, hard logic of profit and loss. Morgan asked Tesla one simple, direct question. If Marconi can already send messages, what will this tower of yours actually do for me? It was the moment of truth. Tesla could have tailored his answer, focused on the commercial applications, the secure communications, the things he knew Morgan wanted to hear. But Tesla was, above all, an idealist. He answered with the unvarnished, magnificent truth of his vision. He told Morgan that the tower was about far more than just messages. Its true purpose, he explained, was to provide free, unlimited energy to the entire world. Free energy. Those were the two words J.P. Morgan, a man whose empire was built on controlling commodities and charging for them, never, ever wanted to hear. You can't put a meter on free. You can't build a monopoly on something that belongs to everyone. In that instant, Morgan saw not a world-changing innovation, but a threat to the very economic structure that gave him his power. The dream was dead. Morgan immediately withdrew all further funding. The word spread like wildfire through the financial community. With Morgan out, no other investor would dare to touch the project. Banks shut their doors to Tesla. The press, which had once hailed him as a genius, now turned on him, mocking his grand project and labeling it Tesla's million-dollar folly. They called it a failure before it ever even had a chance to be switched on. But Tesla refused to give up. He was not a man easily broken. He poured his own life savings, every last penny, into keeping the work at Wardenclyffe alive. He sold off patents and personal equipment to pay his staff and buy materials. As his funds dwindled, he was forced to let his workers go, one by one. Eventually, he was left all alone, a solitary figure living in his laboratory, working day and night under the shadow of the silent, magnificent, and now tragically unfinished tower. He kept working, driven by a belief that was so powerful it defied all logic and financial reality. But belief alone cannot pay the bills. Eventually, the money ran out completely. The work stopped. The dream came to a final grinding halt. For years, Wardenclyffe Tower stood as a silent, melancholy monument. A towering skeleton of an unfulfilled promise, a testament to an ambition so great the world couldn't contain it. Then, during World War I, the government ordered the tower to be dismantled, officially citing security risks that it could be used by enemy spies. The true reason was likely more mundane. The scrap metal was valuable. Tesla, now older and living in New York City, watched the demolition from a distance. He said nothing, but those who knew him said that watching his great tower fall, piece by piece, broke something deep inside him. It wasn't just the loss of a building or an investment. Wardenclyffe was never just a tower. It was the physical manifestation of Tesla's vision for a better world. A world without limits, without energy poverty. A world connected in a way we are only just beginning to understand. It was a future that society, in its greed and short-sightedness, was simply not ready to embrace. In the next episode, we delve into the final, mysterious chapters of Tesla's life. We'll explore the secrets he may have taken to his grave, the rumors of mysterious inventions, his missing scientific papers, and the story of the night the US government seized everything he left behind. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the history of science and innovation.